Modern P-pop blasting in stadiums, lights flashing, fans screaming, now cut to a 1600 Spanish friar strumming a guitar and an American GI handing out jazz records in 1905. What do these three wildly different scenes have in common? They're actually the same story. The colonizers came to rewrite the Philippines, sure, but instead, they accidentally built the perfect laboratory for some of the catchiest pop on the planet. Seriously, the plot twist here is wild. Stick around because you won't believe how this all went down. Before any foreign ships even dreamed of reaching these shores, the islands already pulsed with a vibrant indigenous rhythm. We're talking gongs, kulintang ensembles, and music that was deeply woven into the fabric of daily life. Music wasn't just entertainment. It lived in harvest rituals, in the intricate steps of courtship dances, and in epic chants that could stretch on for 3 whole days, telling stories of ancestors and heroes. There were no guitars yet, no Spanish, no English, just the raw, resonant sounds of bamboo, brass, and human voices, trading patterns over shared cups of rice wine. It was communal, cyclical, and utterly uncolonized. This indigenous musical loop, this deep-seated rhythm, became the hidden backbone, the underlying groove that everything else would eventually bounce off. Colonial powers probably thought they were starting from zero, imposing their culture on a blank slate. But really, they were just remixing a drum kit that had been swinging for centuries. Then Spain rolls in, not just with swords and bells, but with a grand mission to save souls. And their secret weapon? You guessed it, music. Missionaries, savvy as they were, didn't just preach, they taught Passion chants, making biblical stories stick in the hearts and minds of the people. They invented elaborate sinaculo plays, turning villages into stages where the crucifixion was reenacted every Lent. And of course, they imported the guitar, a much more practical instrument than a giant organ for a galleon voyage. But here's the kicker. Filipinos don't just copy, they hack. They took those Iberian chord progressions and laced them with their own local pentatonic flavors. They slowed the rhythm, allowing syllables to stretch and cry out with a distinctly Filipino sensibility. This gave birth to the kundiman, the original slow-burn love song, filled with longing and subtle yearning. By the 1800s, a kundiman wasn't just serenading a girl, it was whispering rebellion against the friars, a coded message of defiance. Same guitar, completely new meaning. Meanwhile, town fiestas demanded brass bands, so every barrio started learning the trumpet and trombone. These marching bands, originally meant to glorify saints, inadvertently became roaming conservatories, training generations of kids in Western notation. Colonial censors wanted obedience. What they got, quite accidentally, was harmony homework. Spain exited in 1898, probably thinking it left behind a devout Catholic colony. What it actually left was a nation humming Spanish chords, but with lyrics about liberty and love of country. The template was set: take foreign tools, Filipinize the purpose, and then export those uniquely Filipino feelings. Centuries later, when ballad groups like SB19 belt out a heartbreak chorus in perfect soaring harmony, they're echoing those very church choirs, just swapping Latin prayers for #feels. Colonial agenda, epic fail, musical side effect, absolutely eternal. Next, Uncle Sam steps onto the scene, bringing battleships, mandatory English classes, and the irresistible allure of Saturday matinees. By the 1920s, Manila streets weren't just bustling. They glowed with the neon promise of movie houses showing Charlie Chaplin. Radios, new and exciting, hissed jazz from the Grand Manila Hotel all the way down to Davao. The American Thomasites were busy teaching English phonics, but their students? They were secretly memorizing lyrics from Andrew's Sisters records, often smuggled in army crates. The traditional balagtas, a poetic debate, evolved into vaudeville, a vibrant Filipino vaudeville, complete with slapstick, tap shoes, and punchlines delivered in a delightful mix of English and Tagalog. Dance halls sprang up everywhere and they needed live bands, so every cabaret stocked saxophones and drum kits. Filipinos, ever the cultural sponges, absorbed swing, blues, and boogie-woogie. But they didn't stop there. They added their own spice, syncopated guitar picking learned from Harana serenades, vocal melisma borrowed from the emotional Kundiman weepers. The result? Pinoy jazz, tight horns, smooth crooner falsettos, and lyrics that could effortlessly blend rice fields and heartbreak into the same verse. Post-Wantu, American GIs left behind more than just memories. They unloaded 45 RPM vinyl records, jukeboxes, and electric guitars. Rock and roll landed with a bang. Teenagers formed garage bands, initially covering Elvis, but they quickly flipped the script, writing Manila Sound originals. These catchy tunes, often in English, bragged about jeepneys, chicharon, and the pretty girls from Quezon City. Hot Dogs, Ikaw ang Miss Universe ang Buhay Ko was goofy on purpose. It was the first time local pride wore bell-bottoms and danced to a Western beat. Colonial planners wanted little brown Americans. What they got were bilingual showmen who could sell a Filipino story using Chuck Berry riffs. Again, the pattern: absorb, mutate, own. By the time Ferdinand Marcos shut down free media in 1972, the population already spoke rock fluently. Protest songs just switched the chords to minor and cranked the amp. Then came the dictatorship. Martial law clamped down hard. Curfews, widespread censorship, and soldiers even at concerts. But artists, being artists, responded not by falling silent, but by turning folk into fuel. Freddie Aguilar famously re-recorded Anak in his cousin's garage, a simple acoustic tale of a prodigal son. It wasn't just a local hit, it sold an astonishing 33 million copies worldwide, proving beyond a doubt that a Tagalog lament could outrun English pop on the global stage. College bands, inspired, ditched their cover sets. They started writing their own originals, and in doing so, they collectively birthed a movement. OPM, Original Filipino Music. Record labels, seeing the undeniable demand, scrambled to set up Tagalog divisions. Radios were even mandated to play at least one local act every hour. The Metro Manila Popular Music Festival, or Metro Pop, launched in 1977, pitting seasoned professionals against unknowns. Ryan Cayabyab's Kay Ganda Ang Ating Musika won, sealing the idea that Filipino pop could be both high art and a competitive showcase. Underground punk and protest rock bloomed in defiance. The legendary Juan de la Cruz Band cranked out Ang Himig Natin, which quickly became the first true Pinoy rock anthem. Juicy synths arrived with the 80s, spawning Apo Hiking Society's radio-friendly earworms and the birth of Pinoy rap. A 20-something Francis Magalona spat MGA Kababayan Co., masterfully blending breakbeats with the traditional balagtasan flow. Martial law planners wanted silence. Instead, they accidentally funded the loudest, most vibrant creative boom since 1898. Every suppressed headline became a chorus. Every curfew night, a ticket-only gig. By 1986, people power toppled the regime. And the soundtrack? It was already gloriously homemade. Colonial seeds, watered by repression, blossomed into a thriving forest of guitars, synths, and megaphones. OPM was no longer just a genre. It was a declaration. The 90s kicked off with a bang. Eraserheads dropped Ligaya in '93, campus radio stations exploded, and suddenly every kid with a guitar wanted to write about frat crushes and UP sunken gardens. Their album Circus went platinum in mere weeks, definitively proving that Taglish rock could outsell even the biggest international imports. Parokya ni Edgar added a brilliant blend of humor, rap verses, and hilarious parody costumes. River Maya brought poetic lyrics and atmospheric delay pedals to the forefront. Metal wasn't left behind either. Bands like Wolfgang, Razorback, and Slapshock exported their brand of distortion to Hong Kong bars and beyond. Meanwhile, Francis M. evolved from a groundbreaking rapper to a passionate nationalist, sampling Kulintang loops and proudly wearing a barong on MTV Asia. Technology, as it always does, flipped the script again. Cheap multi-track recorders and CD burners let bedroom producers churn out heartfelt ballads, democratizing music creation like never before. Then, the early 2000s ushered in the era of reality TV. Pinoy Pop superstar, Star in a Million, and later Pinoy Big Brother turned karaoke champions into household names overnight. Sarah Geronimo, Christian Bautista, and bands like Pale rode this new TV-to-conveyor belt pipeline straight to stardom. Record sales peaked, then inevitably crashed as pirated MP3s flooded Quiapo stalls. But artists, ever resilient, adapted. They gigged harder, sold more merch, and built direct connections with fans through social media. Overseas Filipino workers missing home streamed OPM in their Dubai dorms, effectively turning smartphones into new barrio fiestas. Colonial classrooms taught English grammar. Filipino kids, ingenious as ever, used it to rhyme Manila with vanilla and soundtrack their own coming-of-age movies. Again, the foreign framework, the local soul, that accidental formula remained perfectly intact. The 2010s started rough. Some even declared OPM dead, with radios stuffed full of foreign covers. But then, YouTube arrived and completely democratized stages, giving a voice to everyone. Artists like AJ Raphael, Zendi, and Random Ninjas racked up millions of views from laptops in California and Cebu, proving that a massive audience existed far beyond the confines of traditional record labels. Then came the K-pop shockwave. Korean agencies started holding auditions right in Manila. Some trainees returned speaking fluent choreography. K-pop's incredibly polished mirror made local acts ask a crucial question: why can't we train that hard? The answer, as it turns out, was, we absolutely can. In 2016, ShowBT held rigorous boot camps and formed SB19, 5 lads from different provinces enduring 12-hour vocal and dance drills. In 2019, they self-produced Go Up, shot a zero-budget video, trended #1 on YouTube Philippines, and landed a coveted Billboard chart spot. The formula wasn't simply copy Korea, it was applying K-style training intensity to the centuries-old Pinoy fusion DNA. That's Spanish melody sweetness, American pop structure, and uniquely Filipino lyrical vulnerability. Fast forward a few years, Beanie drops Born to Win, singing infectious Tagalog hooks over trap hats. Alamat raps powerfully in 7 different Philippine languages. BGYO sells out arenas in Dubai. Fan culture, once thought to be waning, revived with a vengeance. Twitter spaces, streaming parties, even broom-sized light sticks at Araneta Coliseum. Labels both small and large rebooted their trainee systems, vocal coaches tripled their rates, and suddenly every titzer in Cavite was running after-school dance classes. Colonial powers once shipped in guitars, then jukeboxes. Now, Filipinos are exporting synchronized chants and world-class performances back to the world, an accidental empire, gloriously in reverse. Learning something new today? Go ahead, hit that like button so more accidental history pops up in your feeds. Let us know in the comments which era's vibe caught you off guard the most. Was it the Spanish guitar, American swing, or the modern boot camp choreo? And don't forget to subscribe for more Pinoy pop culture deep dives dropping weekly. Your support truly keeps these archives spinning and the stories flowing. If you trace the arc of Pinoy pop, you see how indigenous gongs provided that circular foundational rhythm. Spanish friars injected lyrical romance and complex melodies. Americans then added the catchy verse-chorus brevity and a dash of swagger. Martial law, ironically, forced a period of intense introspection and lyrical depth. And finally, the internet demanded speed, global reach, and visual spectacle. Blend all of that, and what do you get? A major key sound that can pivot to melancholy in a single chord change, lyrics that effortlessly switch languages mid-sentence, and harmonies sweet enough for a church, but auto-tuned for arena bass. That, my friends, is Pinoy pop. Resilient, deeply sentimental, profoundly communal, and undeniably global. Colonizers arrived with lesson plans. Filipinos responded by writing hooks that stick. Every regime change left behind new instruments, and those instruments, instead of remaining tools of control, became creative toys. The accident isn't a singular event, it's recursive. Foreign frame, local paint, repeat for 400 years. The end product? A song you can cry to after a breakup, belt out with gusto at karaoke, and then effortlessly remix into a viral TikTok dance. History test? Passed with flying colors. Dance challenge? Still ongoing, and it's spectacular. So next time an SB19 high note raises goosebumps or a B&E choreography trend clogs your feed, take a moment. Remember that incredible chain reaction. The Friar's guitar, the GI's jukebox, Marcos's censorship, and yes, even the broadband fiber. Colonizers tried to mold subjects. What they actually forged were resourceful collaborators who turn every single import into a brilliant export. Pinoy pop isn't just a copy of Western or Korean styles. It's the latest, most vibrant remix of that very first accidental symphony. History keeps handing out surprises. Filipinos, with their boundless creativity, just keep turning them into unforgettable choruses. Press play on that. Spain and America.